hello, welcome to this room. This is my tiki. It's amazing what you can find on eBay. I came across a recording recently as I was digging through an old hard drive that really showed me just how far I've come in my social abilities. I still have a little fear in many social situations. I'm not here to kind of give you advice on how to improve because I'm not perfect, but I do want to track how I got from that meek individual back in 2019 to where I am now and try to understand some of the things that have led me to this point.
It's like it was a constant thing where I'd always be like, as soon as I was done with my obligations, where I had to be out of my place, I wanted to just come back and hide inside my place. This went on for months, where you would never see me anywhere. Okay, thank God, the meeting is over. Now I can go home. It's always like I want to go home. Now I can go home and be at peace because you feel safer there. You avoid the social anxiety. This whole pattern, I don't know if the word xenophobic, but it's like makes it harder and harder for you to actually go out and do the things you need to do. It causes that anxiety. The level that it got to that extreme of a level where you had to go and take some kind of anti-anxiety drug to feel comfortable going to a place as simple as a grocery store.
So apparently I was taking something, I don't actually remember at this point, because I was so uncomfortable I couldn't even go into a grocery store. Fast forward to today, and I am now leading a group of, it's over 700 people, where I host these social events. Let me say this one more time for emphasis. I host social events. Things like going to the park, going to get tea, going out to the bar or something. Some of the largest events that I've hosted have had almost upwards of 55 people in attendance.
Smile!
And I do everything. I organize it. I research the location and kind of plan out where we're going to go. It's been amazing. I meet all sorts of cool people and made new friends. It's just been a really much more fulfilling experience than I ever could have imagined. I'm able to do this job pretty well. I feel totally at ease, and I'm told I do a pretty good job. If you looked at my life and how it was going back in 2019, you would never think that this guy is one day going to be capable of hosting these large-scale events. So I really want to understand how I got from that place to where I am now. I'll go back a little bit in time. So in 2021, I got a job out in the Bay Area in California. And before I left, I remember talking to my good friend about how much I was dreading having to put myself out there. To be fair, it is really hard to meet people in this world now, which is very digitally connected but socially isolated. Case in point, I'm probably never going to meet most of you. I would like to, but we're spread apart in space and we don't live in the communities anymore. And so when I got out to California, it was indeed really hard to be alone in a new city. It just felt really not secure, kind of unsafe. I felt a lot of fear just being there by myself. I eventually found, though, these social meetup events. And you show up and you meet a bunch of people that you've never met before. So this is literally one of the most challenging social situations you can put yourself in, right? Meeting totally new people. The first time I went, I was definitely kind of nervous, but I found that the second time you go, you get just a little bit less nervous. And the third time you get a little bit less, and so on until you start to become really desensitized and just comfortable being in that environment. And that kind of progressive desensitization is the first point to be aware of, the first thing I noticed that helped me in my journey. The second thing that helped me was studying people. Based on your background, you may have already been doing this your whole life, I don't know. But for me, I spent most of my life studying math and science and really focusing my attention on understanding nature. It's just my personal interest. So I hadn't spent a ton of time actually really paying attention to fellow human beings. So when I got there, I really started looking at them and trying to understand the human condition and understand how people's behavior, what that reflected about their psychology, what was going on inside. As I started to understand people at a more deep level, something magical really started to happen. I started to feel more comfortable around people a little bit. I could kind of see a little bit through the facade maybe, or I had a model of what people were like in general. When you meet someone, even if you've never met them before, like you already know something about them before you even meet them. You're working in with fewer unknowns. You're like in less uncharted territory because you kind of already have an understanding of what humans are like. In going to these events, you will see a lot of people with social anxiety that's worse than your own. If you watch, you see people suffering. You also see people having a good time. So it's a mix, but like if you pay attention, you will see people struggling with their own issues. It's really hard to hide in our behavior. It's really hard to pretend like you're doing well when you're not. So once you see behind the scenes of these people, you realize that most people's lives are not necessarily going that well on average, right? Like just most people's lives just aren't going that well. I don't know what to tell you. So it's not just you. You have to realize that other people's lives are in general not that much better than yours. Despite what gets like portrayed on social media and everything, a lot of it's just a facade. I think you should know that if you don't. The third thing, which I'm still actively learning, is that this social desensitization and having good models of people are great, but they're not really sufficient. They're kind of like a first step. You can get really far with challenging yourself socially, like going out, say, I'm going to go say hi to 10 people today. I actually did that when I first started my job. I made myself go out and talk to 10 strangers in that day. It makes you feel really good if you can do that. But the problem is that if you stop doing those type of things, you can get resensitized. So a more sustainable approach that I'm trying to cultivate within myself is to create a more stable foundation of self-approval and just basically just self-love. It's not helpful just to tell you that like you need to be more confident, or in order for you to be more confident, you just need to be happy. You need to be good, within yourself. That statement doesn't tell you anything about how you get there. Everyone is trying to figure out how to be happy at all points in time, I feel like, and it's like, I don't have the answer for you. This is not the video that's going to tell you. One thing that's helped me recently is by letting go of the self-doubt that comes with feeling that you're somehow like not enough as a person. Most of us spend a lot of our lives, I think, feeling desperate. There's a desperate need to get somewhere in life or achieve some kind of external goal in order to be happy and to feel that we're enough. The job that I had in California, eventually I was laid off and I had to come back east. But what I got out of that experience was really invaluable. I realized that even though I had this, what was my dream job at the time, this wasn't going to make me happy. Like I was there, I had achieved kind of the things that I thought would make me happy, and it just wasn't. I realized that whole path in that industry was not going to be what I really wanted to do. It wasn't worth my time. I'm glad that I have that on my resume, that I did that whole thing, but in a very meaningful way, I'm already kind of successful even without that job. I'm already a valuable member of society that's contributing, and I've contributed a lot of really good things already to the people in my life and the world. Even if I'm never really successful in a career sense, I don't attach my self-worth to that. I'm not going to consider myself a failure if I don't reach that type of high level. It doesn't mean that I'm not still trying to, be successful in certain ways, but my perspective on it is completely changed, where I know that I'm already successful and I'm not going to be a failure. Even if I don't reach those things, it's going to be okay. I'm going to be okay no matter what. And that feeling is just extremely liberating when you can realize that. And I kind of still pursue those things more with a lighthearted attitude as opposed to a desperate attitude, if that makes sense. So don't attach your self-worth to achieving these external goals. That helps a lot. Once you can believe that you are good enough and then you kind of don't have to prove yourself, you can start to lose that layer of self-doubt. That self-doubt, I think, is one of the core reasons why you might feel like socially inhibited. Basically, you have to find a way to be yourself around people and really just let down these masks that we put on. That feels a lot less draining to you if you're not having to act, if you're not having to like pretend. It feels a lot easier because you're not exerting any like mental effort to be different. One more thing I want to add, separate point, is that just moving back here closer to family, that also helps a lot. I think surrounding yourself with people that care about you, find friends, find people that you can care about and that can care about you. And see, when I was out in Arizona, when I made that recording, I was really isolated, just had a few friends. That's not good for life. You want to be around people that care. I think that's the reason why we're kind of evolved to want to be around people, is that it's literally safer. It increases your chances of survival if you're around people that care about you, because they're willing to give a fuck and help you out if something goes wrong. This is not advice. I don't have the answers, but I hope that you got something out of that. I want to congratulate myself for coming this far. Complete night and day transformation from where I used to be like 3 or 4 years ago. So, and I'm not going to stop. I'm going to continue pushing it higher and higher. It's going to higher and higher extremes of bothering people on the street and all sorts of stuff. All right. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next time. Peace.